Coach, so much for this shot suppression business. Obviously, your team just needs to let the goaltenders see more shots, right?
Well, you knew there was going to be a push coming in the third period. Groovy did a tremendous job, and the guys in front of him did a heck of a job as well. There was a couple goal mouth scrambles that Groovy had to fight really hard on. He had supportive guys around him and cleaning up second pucks there. But the saves that he made were obviously a big part of it, and I don't know how many shot blocks we had in the third period, but you knew a push was coming, and those are the kind of things you have to do to be successful to close out a game against a real good hockey team.
What do you count for the change from losing streak to a great game today?
Just more complete tonight. Probably if I hit on a couple of keys, was just our immediate response to a couple of things during the game. We've given up the first goal of the game a couple nights, in a row here. Yet, we hadn't had the response. Tonight we had the response. We gave up the first goal on an unfortunate bounce and on a tough play. So first shot on goal goes in. There was no sag in our game. There was just a pushback. We had a good first period. We ended up with a real good power play, and tied it up on the power play. But for me, the key there was then being able to close out the first period with a great PK, which, was, if you look towards the second period, also came into play. We had a real good PK to start the second period, and shortly after that, we're able to extend the lead by, from 2 to 3 as well.
Dave, you're able to see a series of plays, whether it be Morgan Geeky holding up play, drawing a penalty, of course that leads to a goal. The Tanner foot race that he won, Giordano getting in the way of pucks, Schwartz with kind of him picking up the play at the high forward. What was it like to see a continuation of that throughout the night and it lead to good things for you all?
We really felt like, that's what we needed to get out of, this streak. It's been tough. It's not a lot of fun, and I believe our players, coming out of last night's 2 nights ago, that hockey game, that stings, and that stays with you. The atmosphere in our building also stays with you. So there's probably a little bit of that, mindset of how much sport we had 2 nights ago on a real crappy night, and then to be able to come out tonight and do what we could to try to reward the people up there, and most importantly, really take pride in our standard tonight, and that's really what happened.
Bill just kind of talked about he's been in places where they've thrown beer cans for losing. So what makes that so adamant for all of you, where you say yeah, you want to win for the organization, but it's important for you to do this for the fans, because you don't always hear teams and coaches and players talk about that.
Well, every place is not like it is here, and we're very early on. Tonight is one win, right? So we're not going to get ahead of ourselves here. We had a good opponent that came in on back-to-back, and I believe we did a good job in the first and second period of working and really trying to grind our opponent down. Now, as you build the lead, there's going to be a push in the third period, and how you handle that is really important, especially when you're coming out of a stretch where we haven't won in a little while. How you handle that stretch says an awful lot about you, and I thought we handled the push. We handled it well. And my feeling is that this should really give us give us a burst and a real push as we now go into a real tough stretch. You take a look at our schedule coming up. Carolina coming in, that's a hell of a challenge. Just like the challenges we've had here the last couple nights.
If there was like a 15 or 20 minute period where Schwartz seemed to be in on everything, it was really annoying even on defense. He tipped the puck ahead for a goal. Is he always like that? What was different about tonight with the 4 points?
No, he is. Schwartzy, we made a little adjustment, in our line combinations, and he was out there with Gordy and Yarny tonight. And one of the things, that we love his competitiveness, but one of the bigger things with that switch is, I knew he's going to be playing some heavy minutes against a good line. But Schwartzy is really good down below the circles in the offensive zone, and you saw him. He was in his office tonight, and he produced, right? He produced. Had a really good night offensively, but just the combination of those three guys, not just having to defend against a really good line. If you defend against that line all night long, it's going to look like parts of the third period, right? The Gord line was able to. They were able to play in the offensive zone quite a bit tonight especially in the first couple periods, and Schwartzy was a huge part of that.
So on those lineup changes, you split up Eberle and Schwartz. I was wondering how much of that is in an effort to kind of get some other guys going. Like you put Schwartz with Jarnkrok, and Jarnkrok's trying to score sheet for the first time all season. Like how much of an impact does that have on a guy like Jarnkrok?
There's different factors involved. There's part of the thought process. Jojo and Wenny playing together have some pretty good chemistry. And when you have Ebbs on that line, I mean, you got a guy that can finish as well. And it's just as I spoke to with Schwartzy going with Yanni and with Yarny, those two guys play a certain way, and we just we felt like Schwartzy with them would add to what that group does on the offensive side. So they're not, like I said, they're going to defend well, they're going to play hard and tenacious without the puck. But it's a heck of a lot easier to have the puck and play in the offensive zone than it is to have to defend against a big, heavy line with a ton of skill all night long.
A couple of guys mentioned that they had a meeting yesterday. Was that directed by you, or is that a players' meeting? And is that the first time that's happened this season?
I won't get into it too much. No, I mean, there's guys. There's meetings from time to time. We were all part of it, leadership is really, really important, and we have great leadership that showed tonight especially in the last 10 minutes of this hockey game.
Dave, over the last few games, you talked about looking for a timely save or a big save. I thought you got that tonight in the first period. It's 1-0. There's that little mini breakaway. Ruby gets that. Yep. What kind of impact does that have on the bench? Because it felt like those have been going in.
Yeah, we made it. We make a mistake, and all of a sudden, it's like you said, it's not quite a clear-cut breakaway, but it's a heck of a save at the right time, and that's important. So Gruby gets us through that first period, and we feel good coming out of that period, right? And a lot of it has to do with that save, and then the work that he did on the PK to finish out the period. I believe that had a huge impact on why we were able to extend the lead in the second period. And then obviously after that, you look at the work that he did down the stretch in the last 10 minutes of this hockey game. He was, I'm not sure. I assume he was first star tonight, and that's, I'm sure Schwartzy and his line mates would have a good argument, but I'm betting they would look across the room and say, hey, Gruby, he was our best player tonight.
Dave, could you talk a little bit about the penalty kill and what you thought went so well today?
This is such a hard. There's so many weapons on this power play, so it's a little bit different look. I think we got good saves. I thought we had the four guys in front of Gruby doing a good job. But as I said, there's enough weapons there that they're gonna find something, and they had some good looks tonight. And Gruby was on a night where I feel like our PK was good and had a huge impact on this game. Gruby was our best PKer. Good, thanks.